I'm almost a little bit embarrassed to talk about this, but I was scammed, and I was scammed in such a devious way. And the reason I didn't want to talk about this was because I know that there's going to be loads of people in the YouTube comments that say, why did you not do your proper due diligence? You could have easily, and it makes me look a bit rubbish. But I thought I would share this video anyway, regardless of my embarrassment, because I think that if you're going to hit the rocks, at least be a lighthouse for others. And this scam, it really hurt my business. It's a few years ago now, but the time it happened was during a financial tough time anyway, because we had lockdowns. And when this happened, I remember thinking, am I even a good property investor? Like, I really doubted myself, and I wanted to share the full story of what happened and how this scam cost me, not enough to ruin me, but enough to really hurt and make me question myself. So this is the scam. The scam was, I invested in, it was commercial property, and it was storage units that I invested in. Now, if you know how commercial property works, you'll know that it's valued not based on the bricks and mortar. A commercial property is valued based on the rent, the revenue. So this commercial unit that I was buying had a tenant in there, and the rent was really high. And I worked on a basic 10% yield, which was fine. But basically what happened was the tenant that was in there had been put in there just basically as a fake. So they weren't a genuine tenant. They were paying way over the odds for this unit. But because I didn't know loads about storage units, commercial, that element of commercial property, I'd not done it before, I just assumed, oh, there's a tenant in there. It was actually like a 7-year lease with a 12, with a break clause after the first year. So I'm like, okay, a 7-year lease, tenants in there. Yeah, there's a break clause after a year, whatever. And I valued the property based on the rent. However, after I bought this commercial property, and by the way, another thing is I was rushed to buy it quickly. So I got it at a discount, and I thought, oh, this is a nice deal. And I also thought it'd be a nice story. I thought, oh, I'll be able to show this on my YouTube. It's a really nice looking building. It's going to be a great story. It's passive. Oh, this is fantastic. And it was great. But the guy that was selling it, the agent, really rushed me and was like, oh, he's prepared to give you a discount, but he needs to get wrapped up now. There's other. So I pushed it through quickly. My solicitors did say to me, oh, we need to do due diligence and investigation. And I was just like, look, just push it through. I know what I'm doing. I think pride came in, because I thought, I know how to value commercial buildings. I know what I'm doing. But obviously, I don't know what I'm doing as well as a solicitor does, who's a very good solicitor that specializes in due diligence. Also, who's not emotional about the purchase. When emotions are high, intelligence is low. So I pushed this through, got it, fine. But here's the interesting thing. For the first year, I was actually like really happy with it. I was taking pictures. I was bragging about it. I was telling my friends and family. I even did a video, which I was going to put on YouTube, until it was my brother, Russell, who flagged to me, that rent looks really high. When I was preparing the video, that rent looks really high. He said, I looked into it. Anyway, here's what the scam was. The scam was that the tenant that was paying the high rent, that rent was way over the odds. So after the 12 months, they exercised their break clause and they walked away. The tenant did. Which meant that I then had to re-let the property to another tenant. Only then did I find out that they were paying way, like I'm talking 3 times the actual going rate. Which meant that I paid 3 times for the building more than I should have and would have done if I'd known. So now I'm left with this commercial property that's worth very little, and I've been absolutely duped. And it turns out that the tenant that was paying was actually a business that was linked to the seller. So it was a deliberate scam. And the agent that sold the deal to me wound down his company, sold loads of these types of properties as well. I wasn't the only one. So I got scammed, and I probably deserved it. But I guess the reason I'm sharing this is because I wanted to share some lessons. I mean, with commercial property, for example, yes, it's valued based on the rent, generally. But I've seen this happen more. I'm not the only one that's been got by this. I've seen people that have sold houses, residential houses, C3A houses, that are valued based on bricks and mortar, but they've been told, oh, there's a social housing provider in there paying X. What we're going to do is we're going to push the rent up by putting it, and it's like, no, it's still a C3 property. You can't, that's not how it works. But people have been duped because they don't know the ins and outs of commercial property, how it works. Sometimes a little information or a little knowledge is actually dangerous when you know a little bit. When you think you know enough, that you don't need a solicitor. You don't need a good team around you. That can be problematic. Also, when you're emotional about a decision, when you're buying a property, if you're being pushed to buy it quickly to the point whereby your solicitors don't even have time to do their due diligence and you're investing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds cash, probably makes sense to not have something like that done heat at the moment, rushed, without, I think for me it was pride a little bit, and also it was because I was on a winning streak. And I've been winning, I've been in the game for a long time. And I'm just like, oh yeah. Interestingly, Donald Trump talks about this. Donald Trump got to a point where he was so successful in his real estate business, everybody was saying, everything you touch turns to gold. And he said he began to believe it. And as soon as you believe that everything you touch turns to gold, everything goes to ruin. Because that's the point when you get arrogant, stop reading the small print. In a way, you learn more from your losses than you do your successes. Not even in a way, you learn loads more. So your wins will make you rich, yes. Your successes will make you rich. But your losses will make you a legend. So another reason I wanted to do this video was because if you've had a situation where you've been scammed, maybe it's knocked your confidence. I know it knocked my confidence, especially as a trainer. Like when I'm on YouTube showing everybody, here's how you do deals, here's how you make money. Then when you make a schoolboy error and lose loads of money and are like stressed, not just reputationally, but also financially, it's like, man, it hits your confidence. It hit my confidence. So if you've had that situation where you've maybe been duped, you've been sold into a scheme, a Ponzi scheme, or you've been scammed, it happens all the time in business. And I guess I wanted to share this video to give you the encouragement to know that it can happen to anybody if you overlook due diligence, if you don't go through methodically. It can happen to the best of us. So be encouraged. If you've been scammed, if you've been duped, if you've been had, don't let that stop you. Remember, your successes will make you rich, but your losses and your mistakes will make you a legend.